All right, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you guys being back. Happy Monday, everybody. Yeah, we had daylight savings, so it seems like I'm an hour late, but I'm right on time. It's just an hour different from the daylight savings. All right, taking a look at our trade plan from last night. Do we need to update this? Let's see here. We said holding above, which that was Friday. Holding above Friday's value high. We are looking for the value retrace of Wednesday. So holding back above 20, looking for 48. That still looks good. I think we're going to keep that the same. Holding below 67, we're looking for, let me see here. I messed up that target. Actually, not sure how I did that. Let me fix that. That should have been 39. So looking for 39, which is that value level, and then 27, which is the start of that, or sorry, that is the finish of that gap fill. One update you could do is instead of holding below 67, you could say holding below 97, looking for that value retrace, which, yeah, that is a 30-point move. We can go ahead and change that. We'll say 97. So we'll just raise all these by one level. So 67 and 39. Usually if that wasn't that large of a value area, I would keep it the same. But that is a pretty large retrace, so we'll keep an eye on that. It is kind of a D-shape overlapping value, putting in lower highs on the daily. So you have kind of a neutral bias. Right now, you obviously have a little boost up with a higher low because of the Amazon deal with OpenAI. Amazon was pushing up, probably helping some of the larger caps push up as well. But for the most part, you have a overlapping value, so you are fairly neutral. They could be looking for a stop run on the highs, grabbing the liquidity. We'll keep an eye on that. So holding above 211, looking for 400 and 550 on NASDAQ. That is still good. We're going to do the same thing on NQ. So we're going to update this. Just raise it by one level. Where's that low? That low is 888. There's the trade plan for you guys. Ignore this. I have to update my time here. Give me 1 second. We are going from -4 to -5. Let's see here. There we go. All right, that should say 9:30. It does. All right. I had to fix my time zones in Addis. They don't auto adjust for daylight savings. Little sweep on the high at the open, looking a little bearish, possibly back down to that overlapping value. Keep an eye on that. By the way, for the video, guys, we're just going to go back to the same schedule. We're just going to basically act like we took a week off. So the video is going to come out on Wednesday. Q&A is going to be on Monday. And then we'll release the last video on next Wednesday. And then the last Q&A will be the following Monday. So we're just going to go back to the same schedule. I'm not going to change it. Be confusing, right? We'll just pretend like we took last week off, basically. So this week will be volume profile. Next week will be order flow. And then the series is over. That sweep on the high giving you a little bit of sell pressure on ES, but NASDAQ is holding up. Bit of a bottom heavy open so far. A lot of value on that low. Not really going anywhere. Kind of being absorbed. Seems like I didn't miss too much taking off Friday. Not a whole lot happened. Make sure we have these point of origin levels marked out for the last couple of days. All right, should be good. 908, 918 to the upside, around 88, around 74 to the downside. Good morning, everybody. Adriana, Backpack, and Scott, AT, Banana, Morris, Lubomir, Crypto, Tamer, Greg, Patriot, Keegan, Boat. Good morning, Ram, Tachi, Larry, Brad, Future, Trevor, Faraj, Darius, Nitro. Keep it on VWAP if we do continue downward here. Good morning, Lucio, Jeremy, Mauser, Davis, Shihan, Broccoli, James, Fernando, Ordinary, eBay, 2013, JC, Adam. Good morning, Astro. Good morning, Axio. Appreciate you guys being here. Here's the trade plan for you guys. What I do on Friday? Nothing crazy. It was Halloween. Our neighborhood gets pretty busy for Halloween. Went out to dinner with some friends. Just kind of resetting, relaxing. Been a little exhausted recently with the series. My voice has been getting shot a little bit. Here's that VWAP. Keep an eye on VWAP on ES at 94. Pretty far away on NASDAQ. Goes all the way down to 146. This is that overlapping value that we were talking about. A lot of chop here. We have basically 5 days of overlapping value. Very D-shaped here, very balanced, very bell curve-like, right? So that value high is being protected, that value low is being protected. Sellers like the 200 to 300 area, buyers like the 26,000 and a little bit below that. Could be a very ugly bulldog on the 30-minute on ES. ES is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of overlapping value. You had a little bit of a breakout attempt. It's not as bell curved. Little bit of an imbalance on that high there. Buyers are protecting the 850 to like 870 area. Sellers are protecting the 920 to like 930 area. POC is almost exactly where we are right now, which is why we're getting so much chop here. Here is that VWAP at 895, putting in a little bit of a node on VWAP. Look at that node building up. Very aggressive one-directional trend so far. Look at the ADMA here, just nuking the ADMA, holding below it, ignoring VWAP. They built a node, tried to bounce off of it, but it got absorbed. The buyers did. Buyers couldn't do anything there, got taken out, and now we are building a lower node below VWAP. Here is that full rotation into the value low. If it does not bounce here, it is looking to respect yesterday, or sorry, not yesterday, Friday, the prior day, right? It's looking to respect the prior day's value, which goes down to 68. Same thing with NASDAQ. Today's rotation goes down to 96. Friday goes down to 26,000. So hard to tell which one it's respecting right now. Looks like ES is going for Friday's value. Putting in a lot of lower highs on the higher time frames. Not liking that higher value. Little hard to respect higher value when you have a large gap below you. Keep an eye on that session VWAP on NASDAQ at 150. You completely ignored it on ES. Still very aggressive. Look at how trendy you are on the 1 minute. 1 minute staying below the ADMA every single candle. Damn near one time framing on the 1 minute. Good morning, baby. Appreciate you guys all being here. Took a little bit of a long weekend. Good to see you guys back. Which Addis sub do I need to have a setup like mine? I think it's the one above the lowest. So not the lowest, but the one above it. I believe. I think the lowest one, you can have the same setup, but it doesn't have real-time data. It's like slightly delayed. And then the one above that has the same setup, but it has real-time data. I think it's called candle stats. Yeah, candle stats. I don't change time on TradingView. It does it automatically. I had to change it on Addis manually, though. On the bottom right, it has like your UTC time, or at least for me, UTC. You can change it there if you have to. It should connect directly to your desktop clock. Well, obviously broccoli, or I'd be a pretty dishonest person, right? And I talk to you guys about the Momo pretty much every single day. You guys just don't see it because I have so many monitors. I can only show you guys so many things on one screen. Yeah, there is data coming out today, and I believe it doesn't care about the government shutdown, so it should be coming out. 9:45 and 10 o'clock. What are we coming up on? How many days have we been shut down here? Let's see. $33 days. So on Wednesday will be the new record for the longest shutdown. Because it was 35 days. Very bottom heavy node here. Putting in a POC node at 83. Possibly turning into like a capital B if you try to bounce back up and generate a higher node. So far, the sellers on this POC are being absorbed. Yeah, I think, Chris, I think maybe the end of this week or probably like the end of next week, I could see it being like the latest. I don't think it goes on much longer than that. At this point, we've missed an entire month of financial data, so the market is going to be a little crazy when it comes back. We have a lot of data to catch up on. Good morning, Joan. And by the way, I did see your email, Joan. I just haven't responded yet. But to answer your question, yes. I will be putting out the Black Friday sale on the website probably this week. I usually start it pretty early November. So it will probably be this week. So look out for that. And I'll make a post about it in Discord as well, reminding everybody who bought the annual plan on Black Friday last year that if they want to continue that, make sure to put in the new code. So look out for that post in Discord, and look out for the announcement on stream. Right, I'll talk about it probably later this week. It'll probably be like Wednesday. Good morning, Lee. This is kind of crazy. We are staying below the ADMA on the 1 minute every single candle. It's probably going to be pretty much the same as last year. It's probably going to be 40% on the quarterly and probably 50 or 60% on the annual. That's about what I do every year. Which that keeps reminding me I need to fix my trading view because they charged me full price before Black Friday again. I'm going to do that after stream today. Very trendy day here. We opened up, there's not a single TPO above the open. Put in a node, another node, another node, another node, and another node. They are all one directional nodes. They are not being battled by the buyers. They are not being reclaimed by the buyers. So what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes below the open. Keep an eye on the POC of Friday coming up around 91 on NQ. Value low at 43, then 26,000. On ES, we are looking for the overnight low, which is around 73. And the value low of Friday, which is 68. And then if it gets real bad, we're looking for that gap fill. This is an exceptional trend. We do not normally see trends this aggressive on the 1 minute. This is holding below the ADMA every single candle since the open. Delta is following price damn near bar by bar. Yeah, I typically like to see the gaps get filled on the daily with bodies of candles, not wicks. So preferably during the normal hours. If it fills it in by wicks, it normally goes for a retest. All right, here comes that 30-minute close. Getting a little weak on the lows here. You can see the volume's falling off quite a bit as we're pushing down. Still obviously an incredibly strong close. They are hitting a couple of prior lows. They're filling in a gap from Friday. By the way, when I was talking about the gap, I wasn't talking about this one. Obviously, you could look at this one as well. But I was talking about the major gap. There's a much larger gap from last week or a couple weeks ago, I think. But yes, you could be looking at this gap as well on Friday. Yeah, there is a bull div on the 1 minute, but it's showing that fish hook pattern where it flattens out at 15. So it could bounce up to the trail, but watch the trail. It's a very, very strong downtrend, so bull divs are going to need to be pretty damn strong to stop this trend. We are nearly trading, we pretty much are trading every single candle below the aggressive average since the open. That is crazy on the 1 minute. Oh yeah, here's the 10 o'clock data, by the way. Let's take a look. It is 48.7 over 49.4. Price is at 58 over 62.4, so a little bit lower than expectations. Good morning, C-Mac. Good morning, Angela. That is a hell of an A candle. Already a 40-point opening candle. This is one of those days you kind of had to be in pretty early. You had a sweep right at the open, turned into a value rotation, failed the value high. We finished that rotation. Now we are looking for possibly the rotation of yesterday, going back down to, or not yesterday, of Friday. The retrace of Friday going back down to the value low. Little bit of absorption on the low there. A lot of bearish delta getting stuck. Good morning, DS. So right now we're keeping an eye on this absorption. These sellers are getting a little bit extended on the lows, and they are kind of being absorbed. They're not really getting what they want. We're not really seeing any kind of flips just yet. You're not really flipping the ADMA. You're not flipping the 24. Mostly just profit taking, not really buyers being in control or anything like that. It's extremely hard to be a seller, or excuse me, it's extremely hard to be a buyer in a market like this. Obviously, you're staying below the ADMA pretty much every single candle. It is a little hard to be a seller if you did not catch the sell early. I'd say the most optimal point would be anywhere in this little leg right here, because it started out with a sweep. It started failing the value high, I think somewhere around like here. And then obviously you had the VWAP failure. Below VWAP, it gets a lot harder, because at that point you're already hitting your targets, right? So like if you took the optimal sell, you're already hitting your value targets, your value retrace levels, etc., etc. So selling past like 7 minutes after the open was a bit difficult. Now, obviously, in hindsight, you could have sold anywhere and you would have made money, but we try to think about things in a high probability sense. And obviously, when you trade around the POC in the middle of the day, it's a lower probability. Here is the value retrace of Friday, so that target has been completed. We did raise our lower trade plan to that level earlier, so that's good that we did that. Here comes that 39 and 43. That's the next target if it does continue. Retesting that absorption, so no longer being absorbed. Good morning, Ultimate. They were lower than expectations on the, what is it, PMI? Good morning, Roman. Okay, that was the strongest surge in buy pressure we have seen today. You had a couple of big bullish blocks come in. You had 100, 100, 885. You had the low being swept, which is basically exactly where that block trade is. Here's the 24 EMA being retested for the first time today, which is quite impressive. It took them over 30 minutes to retest that. If you can hold above the 24, keep an eye on the VWAPs, possibly a bear flag into VWAP. So you can see how we're turning from a very bearish trend day, just continuously putting in node after node after node below us, right? As we push down. And now we're turning more into like a lowercase b, where they're getting a lot of buyer value kind of fighting down here on the POC. It's still bearish, but the buyers are coming in a bit more. And that could be due to like shorts closing, more of like a profit take, right? Very similar to like a bear flag where you have that profit taking pushing you up. But it's not actually bullish. You're just being pushed up by people closing their shorts. And as you can see, like I said earlier, look at the bear flag into VWAP, right? We have that bear flag pushing into VWAP. You front ran it a little bit on ES, unfortunately. On NASDAQ, you are hitting VWAP here. And another unfortunate thing about this one is the prior low target that you always target with a bear flag into VWAP. You always target that prior low cluster. Is very close. So it's not offering you too much of a target here. It did give you about 10 points, which is not bad. But in the grand scheme of things, obviously volatility is very high right now. But 10 points is not massive. Yeah, Ultimate, so if you sign up with the link down below in the description, that starts out as a normal trial. Just send me an email and say, hey, I signed up using your link. Here's my email that I signed up with. I'll send your email over to their team, and they'll get you extended for 30 days. There's my email if you need it. Okay, prior low target, like I said, it was very close. It has already been achieved. Now, this is where you could probably get a runner, right? If you are leaving a runner on this trade, it's pretty damn aggressive today, so your runner could go on for quite a while. It just depends on what you want to use as your trail. You could use the 8, the 24. You could use the prior candle highs, whatever, right? But this does have a high chance of giving a runner because you are so aggressive today. Let's go ahead and start deleting some of these point of origin levels that have been taken out. Let's keep an eye on that prior low in case of a sweep. Oil, to be honest, I have not watched oil in quite a while. The oil market has been so crazy recently with all the world events going on. Like it always is, right? So I actually have not tracked oil for quite a bit. Let's take a look at some new VWAPs. What is it doing right now? Could be a bulldog if that is the absolute bottom. It can't go any lower. Could be a massive daily bulldog. This is very common for oil. It likes to find these ranges around like 60 to 80, and it just kind of sits there for a very long time. So taking a volume profile since the low, you're still pretty bearish, holding below that POC. It looks like you failed to rotate. You tried to bounce off that value low going back into rotation. You did not make it above the POC or the bearish VWAP. So you are pretty bearish right now. You would have to see holding above like 64 going into the value retrace into 67. But yeah, looking pretty weak right now. Yeah, it's a nice long weekend for sure. Had to rest my voice a little bit. I've been speaking so much with the videos and whatnot. A little bit of a bull div in Delta right now. Higher low on Delta. Yeah, oil is a very like supply and demand market, very fundamental. It likes to find those accumulation ranges and just kind of hangs out in them for months, sometimes years. It really likes to range. I'm not big into like the fundamental side and all that, but last I checked, there's like a price that they like to pin it on, which is like the most optimal price for them. And it's like somewhere in the 60s or like low 70s or something like that. That's like where they like to keep the oil market. They can make the most money off of it. But yeah, I'm not a very fundamental guy, so I don't really keep track of that stuff. Nothing has changed here, guys. The trade is still the same. Like I said, the bear flag and the VWAP. The runners are pretty obvious. That 24 EMA is being protected still. Still putting in lower lows, lower highs. A little bit of a bull div there, bounced you into the 24. Obviously wasn't enough to do anything. Like I said earlier, the trend is so strong, the bull div would have to be pretty damn strong to stop such a strong trend. That was basically the first major pullback of that down move, giving the late buyers, or sorry, the late sellers an opportunity to get in. Like I said, the first opportunity you missed if you weren't extremely early. It was basically that move right there. There wasn't much of a trade here. You could have taken the break of VWAP. But from here to like here, not much of a trade. And then we have that bear flag and a VWAP kind of around there. And now obviously you're just playing out that bear flag and a VWAP. So two major opportunities today. You had the bear flag and a VWAP, and somewhere in this general area around the open, which also was a break of VWAP. All in all, it just goes back to what we talked about in the trade plan, overlapping value. They're protecting the highs, they're protecting the lows. We are retracing into those value lows as we speak. Value low of Friday taken out. Next value level or major level would be that low of day of Friday. NASDAQ completing its retrace right now. Needs a little bit more to get that Friday value low. Keep an eye on that. But yeah, nothing crazy. Just a overlapping value, D-shaped balance, rotating from side to side. This push down is pretty weak. You can see the volume falling off very rapidly. They need to start establishing another node down here to protect them, or it's probably going to turn a bit into a sweep and push back up. Okay, new 30-minute close. We are creating single prints going back to 71. And these single prints have very low value protecting them. So they could be retraced if we get some buy pressure finally, but right now the buyers are extremely weak. Nice sale on Apex. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it lower than that. I think that's the lowest activation fee I've ever seen. They're doing $40 activation fees for the paid accounts. It's 70% off and recurring if you guys want to get some accounts. If you do get accounts, be sure to keep those receipts and send them my way for the giveaway for this series. Obviously, if you're using code BREW. Which, by the way, I did not do any giveaways this weekend. I basically did no work at all this weekend. I was taking a little break. So I will be doing those giveaways today. So keep an eye on your emails. If you guys have got entered in those giveaways from the Becoming an Apex Trader series, just keep an eye on your emails. If you do win, I'll send you the details. Buyers are getting a little bit stronger down here, building a support node, trying to bounce off of it back into the single prints. Keep an eye on those. Still very, very aggressive to the downside according to the EMAs, holding below the 80 EMA every time. Yeah, Broccoli, throughout the series I'm doing giveaways for people that are sending me all their tickets. I talk about that on the giveaway section of the videos. If you guys send me your tickets throughout the series, obviously you get entered. And then the only one we're doing like at the absolute end is the laptop. But throughout the series, I'm doing Apex giveaways. I'm doing Discord giveaways. It's usually a combination of volume profile and delta. It's kind of like when you see a massive node on the high of the candle or the low of the candle. And if it has a ton of delta that's trying to push price in that direction, so like in this case, bearish, there would obviously be a lot of sellers that are stuck down there because you have a massive seller node, but the price is above them, so they're obviously not getting what they want. Okay, first support node, actually giving you a little bit of buy pressure, possibly filling in the single prints, looking for like 71. Okay, here are the single prints, as I said, looking for 71. That support node turned into a sweep, turned into a single print fill-in. Here's that level we marked out earlier. Looking for those singles. Keep an eye on VWAP for another bear flag in the VWAP. They're doing their favorite thing where they fill in every single print except for one, then it chops out a little bit. Most of the time it does fill in that last one. This is why I like to use 2-point TPOs, because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room for when they do that. They kind of front run it. Okay, single prints have been filled in. That was a beautiful fill-in, by the way. Very, very clean. Extremely one-directional market today. Like, when it picks a direction, it is staying in that direction. It is staying below the ADMA or above the ADMA in this case. You're not getting a ton of chop. Single prints have been filled in. Keep an eye on those VWAPs. Possibly a second bear flag in a VWAP. Not seeing a ton of buy pressure, so they're not really threatening to break this bear flag in a VWAP. They do need to start pushing down pretty soon, though. If they hang out here too much, they're going to start putting in like a higher low, which is going to go against that bear flag. So you do need to go below this node right here and hold below 65. So you see that node I'm talking about? They're not holding below this upper node. This upper node is turning into support, same way that we had the reaction of the lower node. They built this node up. They didn't hold below it. Failed in the single prints. Now they're holding above this node. You're just kind of thinking like, okay, is it a resistance node, or are the sellers protecting it? Is it a support node, or the buyers protecting it, right? And obviously the buyers are protecting it because it keeps bouncing off of it. Now they're running into VWAP, so they don't have too far to go. But they are using this as a major support. So until you lose that, the sellers are not very strong. They need to lose like 65. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you still get the auctions. I think we've had a few auctions already. Keep an eye on the session VWAP. This still could be a bear flag in the VWAP. It is pretty aggressive. Normally when it's this aggressive in the VWAP, it breaks through, which you just saw with the daily VWAP. So it is a little bit dangerous. Just keep an eye on that session VWAP. A lot of sellers coming in around like 74 to 75. Still protecting the 30-minute highs. Have a good day, Sniper. Keep it on the 24 EMA. If we can stay below that, it could still be a bear flag into VWAP. A little bit of a lower high coming in on NASDAQ on the 1 minute. Just kind of chopping around and building up that POC right now. Obviously still slightly bearish bias. It could be a bear flag. If they start reclaiming VWAP and they start taking out those 30-minute highs, that becomes a problem for the sellers. The buyers are doing a good job building up support nodes. They protected that bottom node. They protected this node around 66, and now they're trying to protect this node on the POC. It is slightly bearish. You can see it's still protecting the highs and still pushing down. But the buyers are doing a good job from where they were, right? They've already raised value like 20 points. Keep an eye on that 24. It's very trendy. Yeah, they're not really finding much above 75, but they've done a really good job getting to 75. A lot of support nodes. Need to break those 30-minute highs, but they're just rolling off a VWAP. Hey, Ram, have a good day, man. One of the slowest bear flags on a VWAP we've seen in a very long time. Got to VWAP at like 10:58 and it's been here for damn near 30 minutes doing nothing. If it finally gets through VWAP, you might be rotating. You might be going back to the value high. So keep an eye on that value high, 175 on NASDAQ. And that would be 95 on ES. This is exactly what I talked about during the trade plan this morning. This is the problem with overlapping value, right? They're protecting the lows over and over again. They're protecting the highs, right? You have a lot of consolidation around like the central point, the POC of the overlap. You can see very aggressive buyers below 70. You try below 70, instantly bought up. Tries again, instantly bought up. Tries again, instantly bought up. Now, so far, this time around, this very strong push up is the weakest. You see how it's stalling a little bit early? This one made it to here. This one made it to the same level. This one did not. So the sellers are a little bit stronger this time around. You're still in a bear flag in the VWAP. It's just taken its sweet time. It's taken a very long time to actually play out. There's your actual tap of VWAP. It finally hit VWAP to the tick. Also turning into a 30-minute sweep. The prior low target this time around is offering a much larger trade. The first bear flag was only like 10 points. This one is like 20 points. Possibly 30 points. If it could make it down to that prior low. Yeah, at this point, we need to hold below that node. They really don't want to see buyers get back above 75 now that we've finally lost it. If they start getting back above 75, that would be putting in like a higher low on the bear flag and the VWAP, which you do not want to see. That would start kind of threatening that trade. NASDAQ is already getting to the target. NASDAQ approaching that prior low cluster. As I talk about, it's not the prior low, the absolute level. You can target that level if you want to be aggressive. It's more so where the bottom happened. So this is the conservative target. The midway point would be probably around like the 30s. And then the absolute level obviously is like 15 or whatever. All right, new 30-minute close. It did close as a sweep. Didn't really threaten anything. The buyers are really protecting these two nodes right here. If the buyers lose 65, it gets much worse. The sellers do not want to lose this node right here. They do not want to lose 75. This is the problem with a POC node, right? The POC is very 50-50. Buyers are protecting this, sellers are protecting this, back and forth, again and again and again. This is threatening the bear flag and the VWAP. You typically do not want to see a higher low like that. Putting in that that protection of that node around, what, 71, 72. But all right, guys, on that note, we're going to call it for the morning stream. I will be streaming the rest of the day in Discord. If you guys are not in Discord, I will catch you guys tomorrow. If you guys want to support the channel, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. You could also use code BREW, B-R-E-W, on Apex. They announced a 70% off sale, and I think the lowest activation fee I've ever seen. Their activation fee for paid accounts is $40. So if you guys do get the funded account, activating them is very, very cheap. If you guys do buy any accounts using that code, be sure to keep those receipts and send them my way for the giveaway. I'll be doing giveaways throughout the rest of the series, which, by the way, the next video will come out on Wednesday. We're going to stick to the same schedule. I was going to release it today or tomorrow, but I think it's just better to stick to the same schedule. We'll pretend like we just took a week off last week. So volume profile coming out Wednesday. We're going to do the Q&A the following week on Monday. Then the final video for order flow Delta going to come out on that Wednesday. and then the final Q&A the Monday after, and then we'll be done with that series. And then after that series, we're going to switch back to some short form content for a little while. We're going to make some recap videos. We're going to make some YouTube shorts, etc., etc. So we got a lot coming. Be on the lookout. Another thing coming is keep an eye on probably like Wednesday. I'll finally announce the Black Friday sale for the website, for the Discord and everything. We do a Black Friday sale every year. It's probably going to be about 40% off on the quarterly and probably around like 50 to 60% off on the annual. But all right, guys, I appreciate you being here. I'll see you tomorrow, same time as always. If you're in Discord, I'll catch you guys there. Peace, everybody.